Hi there. It's been a crazy week, hasn't it? This is actually my stock of toilet paper for my whole family, including myself, my wife, and my 4 children. I wish I were kidding, but I'm totally not.
Luckily, one of my kids is a baby, and babies don't use toilet paper, so we should be fine.
Like I said, it's been a really crazy week, hasn't it?
The World Health Organization has declared the coronavirus a pandemic. There have been more than 1,000 cases here in the US. There are travel bans. E3 was canceled for the first time since 1995, leaving many to wonder.
E3 is still a thing?
Here in Austin, South by Southwest was canceled for the first time in over 30 years, putting the promoters in such a bad financial position that the festival may never happen again. Thankfully, at least for now, the Austin Rodeo is still on.
I love you, Texas. That's great. Thanks for that. On the positive side of things, the sale of toilet paper has never been better. I don't think there's ever been a better time to own stock in Charmin. Irresistible softness. But I know what you're thinking. What about the important stuff? What about the TurboGrafx 16 Mini?
Well, there isn't a lot of good news, I'm sad to say. As you probably know, Konami announced recently in a message available on their official TurboGrafx Mini website that the TurboGrafx Mini in the US has been put on hold indefinitely due to disruptions caused by the coronavirus. Soon after, we found out Amazon in the US updated the release date for the TurboGrafx Mini from March 19th to December 31st of this year.
A 9-month delay.
Now, at some point before Konami's latest announcement, it appears they made a different statement that indicated that people who had already pre-ordered the TurboGrafx Mini could see their Amazon orders fulfilled as expected. And this has caused some confusion, but that earlier statement has been abrogated by Konami's more recent statement.
But a 9-month delay? That seems a little weird. So I went ahead and emailed Konami for clarification.
They sent me this email in response. Dear Konami customer, thank you for contacting Konami customer support. In response to your questions, I'm very sorry to tell you we have no information at this time. Please keep an eye on our website for information about developments and future plans, or you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook. We apologize for the inconvenience, and we thank you for your feedback. Regards, Konami customer support.
So I guess that's it. I guess Konami just isn't able or willing to say anything right now. We're just gonna have to wait and... Oh wait, what's this? Let me see here. Ah.
It looks like if you want to, you can still pre-order the PC Engine Mini, the CoreGrafx Mini, or the TurboGrafx Mini from Amazon Japan for 11,550 yen, or about $110 before shipping and handling. And it ships to the United States. When are these expected to be available? As of making this video, it still says March 19th. Now, my pre-order was with Amazon USA, so I have not attempted to purchase one of these myself, but according to a Redditor with the username SamarmanFilms84, both his order for the PC Engine Mini and the CoreGrafx Mini are still on schedule to be released March 19th from Amazon Japan. His estimated delivery date still stands to be in late March, at least as of now.
This is very interesting, especially when we consider the fact that Japan is both closer to and more affected by the coronavirus problem than we are.
Going to Amazon UK reveals the same situation. You can still get yourself a CoreGrafx Mini with a posted release date of March 19th, 2020.
So why, I ask, is the US the only place that's been delayed until the end of December? This is indeed very odd. Well, kids, pack your bags, we're moving to Japan!
To add to this confusion, there are TurboGrafx Mini listings starting to pop up all over eBay for the hefty price of $249. Estimated date of delivery? April 23rd through April 27th, 2020. To me, it looks like scalpers are simply making pre-orders on Amazon Japan, factoring in the amount of time required to ship them to the US, and then selling them for approximately 150% more money.
Konami is saying that the coronavirus has impacted their ability to meet their US launch date. But if that's true, then why is the TurboGrafx Mini available literally all over the world at the original launch date? The short answer is, I don't know. But you know what? I think I might have an idea of what might actually be happening.
One of our regular viewers, James Kelvin, had a thoughtful comment that really got me thinking. Before it was announced that the TurboGrafx Mini would be pushed back to December, he accurately predicted that it would be delayed for at least 6 months. It was his observation that Konami did not seem prepared for a mini console, and he inferred, correctly, that a delay was probable.
You know what? I think he's right, but I'm not nearly as optimistic about it. From what I gather, it looks to me like the TurboGrafx Mini has already failed, and that Konami is currently engaged in a game of damage control. The coronavirus might just be a convenient way to save face and to stall for more time. Let's consider the evidence.
During our last video, we pointed out that while the TurboGrafx Mini had been delayed indefinitely, you could still purchase the accessories from Hori on Amazon. Another viewer, Robert Schmigelski, pointed out that this is most likely due to the fact that no one is buying them. This makes sense. The accessories for the TurboGrafx Mini are numerous and quite expensive. If no one bought the stock that Hori had planned to make, then that would certainly explain why they are still available for pre-order.
But if no one's buying the accessories, then are people buying the TurboGrafx Mini? From what I gather, not so much.
One of the worst things that can happen to a piece of video game hardware is for it to exceed what consumers are willing to spend. And at $100, without a second controller, the TurboGrafx Mini is officially one of the most expensive mini consoles ever made. And when the price was first announced last summer, many people balked, stating that they would rather wait for a massive price reduction after launch, which is what happened with the Sega Genesis Mini only a few months after it was released last year. Massive price reductions of new products near the holidays, to me, indicate that perhaps Sega overproduced their console, but I have never been able to find any information indicating how well it actually performed. However, I was able to confirm that for 2019, it was the 40th best-selling product in Amazon's video game department, just behind Ring Fit for the Nintendo Switch.
Not too shabby.
However, looking up the TurboGrafx Mini sales rankings on Amazon, the one place it's even available, reveals a rather abysmal ranking of number 263.
That actually is pretty shabby.
To put the 263rd ranking in perspective, the 95th best-selling video game on Amazon is currently NBA 2K20 for the Xbox One, a relatively poorly received sports game from last year. If the TurboGrafx Mini is the 263rd best-selling video game product on Amazon, then that means there are over 160 items that people are buying at a higher rate than the TurboGrafx Mini, including this game. And that's just not very good at all, especially when you consider this thing isn't even available at any other store.
To be fair, I checked this information after the news that the TurboGrafx 16 Mini was going to be delayed. So it's possible that the bad news drove sales down. But if it was really doing very well, is it possible that sales could have been driven down this low? I really don't think so. I think the best explanation as to why the TurboGrafx 16 Mini has been delayed in the US is essentially that it failed to sell enough units, even after being on the market for over 9 months.
Okay, here's what I think happened. Konami got the idea to do a retro mini console. The concept seemed to work for Sega, and it definitely worked for Nintendo, but not so much Sony. So they get M2 to put together the software, and they take their idea to a big Chinese manufacturer who will actually put the thing together. The Chinese manufacturer agrees, but only just in case Konami orders a sufficient number of units up front, enough to make it worth their while. I have no idea what this number is, but let's just pretend for the sake of my narrative that it was something like 100,000 units. Maybe they divided up 50,000 PC Engine Minis for the motherland, and 25,000 Turbo Minis, and 25,000 Core Graphics for everyone else. Konami agrees and pays up front, then decides to put the console up on Amazon for pre-orders, 9 months ahead of schedule. The plan is simple: a long pre-sale period along with a few weeks of marketing that will hopefully drum up enough pre-sales to determine how many more units they should buy from the Chinese manufacturer. Perhaps another 100,000 units, or more, who can say?
Guys, I don't think they made enough pre-sales to justify that second round with the Chinese manufacturers.
I think, given the evidence and the way this story has unfolded, with Konami bailing out of the US launch for another 9 months, that it is very likely that the TurboGrafx Mini simply didn't sell enough units to justify a worldwide launch. I think Konami may have sold enough units to justify fulfilling their orders in Japan and Europe, but that they are extending the US launch by an additional 9 months in sort of a desperate attempt to garner enough pre-sales to justify that second round of production, or maybe another 100,000 hypothetical units. Let's say they managed to sell 150,000 units worldwide with pre-sales. Since they are guaranteed to have 100,000 units from that first order, they can fulfill the regular launch schedule in both Japan and Europe. However, they can't just buy the 50,000 unit difference from the Chinese manufacturer, because the Chinese manufacturer has set a minimum of 100,000 units. Therefore, they may have used the coronavirus pandemic as a way to both save face for failing to meet their US release date, but also as a way to buy themselves more time to hopefully garner enough US pre-sales to justify a second round of Chinese manufacturing.
And I don't think that's really likely at all. In fact, I think a lot of people are actually going to end up canceling their pre-orders. I don't really know for sure though.
Now, the only other possible explanation I could think of would be the tariff situation between the US and China on electronics goods. It's possible that Konami is hoping that between now and the end of the year that the tariffs will be lifted, like they temporarily were during last year's holiday shopping season, and therefore they might be able to avoid the 10% loss of revenue.
I just think it's super weird that Japan and Europe are both getting their consoles on schedule as if they were unaffected when they're actually more affected, and I just happen to think that my story explains how all of this bizarre wackiness played out the way that it did. That's all. Either way, be it a lack of sales or the tariffs, the one explanation that doesn't make a lot of sense to me is actually the coronavirus. It hasn't stopped the release in Japan, it hasn't stopped the release in the UK, even though hypothetically the situation may be even worse over there. I'm just saying. So, is the TurboGrafx Mini going to actually come out by December 31st? I don't think so. I think after so many months that Konami's basically going to just quietly cancel it. But if you want, you can actually get one on Amazon Japan today. Or you could wait and get one from eBay for $250 from a scalper. Personally, I'm not doing either. So what do you guys think? Is the TurboGrafx Mini actually going to come out in the US? Are you guys going to wait and see what happens with Konami and this coronavirus thing? Or are you guys considering maybe buying one from Japan? Or are you just going to sit this one out? Please let us know what you think in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching.